welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. So today I'm going to be showing you how you can achieve this Trapper prosthetic makeup and costume tutorial from Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is honestly one of my favorite video games, and I have always wanted to do another makeup look. I did turn myself into the spirit already, and this is one that I have been putting off doing for a while because it is such a big project and I wanted to do it right. If you're not already, definitely make sure that you're subscribed to my YouTube channel because I'm going to be uploading a new Halloween themed makeup tutorial every weekday for the entire month of October, and you guys definitely don't want to miss it. So anyways, with all that being said, if you guys are interested in seeing how you can transform yourself into the Trapper from Dead by Daylight this Halloween, then just keep watching. Hey Spoops, so to get started, I'm going to be showing you how you can DIY your own Trapper costume, at least from the top up. The items you're going to need is some foam sheets, a green tube top, some EVA foam dowels. I have the 30mm sizes and the 15mm sizes, a variety of paintbrushes, some white Model Magic, metallic silver spray paint, some rubber cement. However, I actually don't recommend the 𝐒𝐷 brand. I would actually recommend the kind that you can get in the spray paint section. That one is typically a little bit more industrial and definitely sticks better. A strap clip, a variety of some paints, and some scissors. I'm going to be starting off by cutting the foam sheet to be the straps for the clip. I'm cutting these to be about 2 inches, and so as you can see, I'm just going to be going ahead and cutting down that sheet and then placing that sheet over top of the rest of it and cutting myself out another strap as well. Next, for the smaller straps, I'm going to go ahead and cut another 2-inch piece, and then I'm actually going to be cutting that in half so that way we have 2 1-inch pieces. Next, I'm going to be taking my 15mm dowels and I'm going to be going ahead and cutting that in half, and then taking my 30mm dowel, I'm actually going to be leaving that the same size, taking some Model Magic and going ahead and forming that around one end, and then definitely starting to create a ball shape at the very end, flattening it, and then creating a hole in the center. This is going to serve as the bars that he has on top of one of his shoulders. This is the bigger one that is facing forward, and now I'm working on the 2 smaller ones on the 15mm dowels that are attaching and kind of going to be protruding backwards. These are ones that are attached to the straps, so I'm just going to be making the exact same thing on a much smaller scale. While I have the 15mm dowels, I'm also going to be cutting out some pieces of the dowel in order to start to form to use as the kind of shoulder prosthetic pieces. He has some hooks coming out of his arm, so I'm just going to be cutting out a few. I ended up only using 2, so you really can like save your time and only cut out 2, just like one little stub and then one angled piece. I'm then going to be taking my silver spray paint and going ahead and starting to spray some of the items. For now, I'm just focusing on the buckle and also those little foam prosthetic pieces. While those are drying, I'm now going to be moving on to the straps, and I'm going to be going ahead and putting down a base layer of some brown mixed with black and red, and just going ahead and applying that all over these straps. I don't mind if it's streaky, I feel like that helps add some texture, and then I'm going to be going into some of the other colors to help add some details, such as some light cream and black, and I'm definitely just going to be stippling that on to give it some more dimension, and then I'm going to be even going into some of the red paint and applying that in some streaks down the straps to give it a little bit of blood tone. With the residue paint on my brush, I'm actually going to be going ahead and applying that to those little foam prosthetic pieces, since those ones have already dried from the spray paint. Using the same paint colors, I'm now going to be moving on to adding some dimension to the top of the tube top. I'm going to be focusing on adding some shading with the black, a little bit of dirt with the brown, and then of course taking that red to give it some blood stains as well. Once I've let that Model Magic dry, I'm then going to be going back into my metallic silver spray paint and going ahead and spray painting those dowels. I went ahead and let those dry overnight, then I'm going to be coming back in the morning, taking some of those paints, and I'm going to be now adding some more detail and dimension to those silver pieces. I'm going to be tarnishing them with some of the brown paint and then adding more dimension with the black, and then of course taking some of the red paint to add a little bit of blood stains. So I'm just going to be doing this to the buckle and to those dowel hooks as well. Next, I'm going to be moving on to attaching the straps to the buckle. As you can see, I'm just going to be going ahead and slipping that through, and then on the back, I'm going to be going into some of my rubber cement to adhere it to the back. I'm then going to be doing that to the bottom piece as well, making sure it is nice and secure, before going ahead and taking the 1-inch straps and slipping that through those mini dowels as well to also secure those. I then went ahead and measured to see where I want the strap to lay on my body before I go ahead and gluing all of these pieces down, and those are the completed mini DIYs in order to fully put together our trapper costume. Next, we're moving on to creating the prosthetic. I'm going to be starting off by taking some petroleum jelly and applying this all over my life cast. This is going to help make the prosthetic easier to remove whenever we are completed. And then I'm going to be going into some liquid latex and flour, mixing those together till we create this nice paste consistency, and applying this to the top part of my prosthetic. And then I'm just going to be taking some liquid latex on my finger to help smooth out all of this paste, just to kind of give it a nice base for the rest of the prosthetic to build off of. Next, I'm going to be taking my super jumbo cotton balls, and I'm going to be going ahead and unrolling them until they are this nice long worm shape. And then I'm just going to be going ahead and starting to place those over the entire top part of the face. I'm going to be starting at the nose and then bringing this all up to the top of the forehead. I'm then going to be applying some liquid latex with a spatula onto the cotton areas, and then I'm going to be going ahead and opening up those eye areas, taking some liquid latex to kind of help spread those open and seal them, and then also just continue with covering the rest of the cotton. I then quickly sculpted some mini fake teeth using some Model Magic, and I'm just going to be going ahead and pressing that into his entire jaw area while the liquid latex is still tacky. Once that is all laid down, I'm going to be taking a little bit of cotton and applying that right over top to kind of create the quote-unquote gums, and then I'm going to be covering that with some liquid latex as well to help seal in those teeth. I'm then going to be building the top part of the prosthetic up a little bit more, so I'm going to be taking some cotton, laying it down at the very top to kind of create that jagged edge that he has in his mask, and I'm going to be covering that with some more liquid latex, and then taking my spatula, I'm going to start to create some of the cracks and creases in the prosthetic. And since the prosthetic is still very much not dry and it's still wet, it is very easy to create these indentations. I'm even going to be dipping my spatula into some liquid latex to kind of help deepen those cracks some more while it's still wet. I went ahead and let this dry overnight, and now I'm going to be going ahead and applying some 10mm dowels to the side of the prosthetic. I did cut these pieces so that way they can fit the side of his face more, and I'm going to be going ahead and taking some cotton and latex to go ahead and stick these on. The great thing is, like, these pipes that he has on the side of his mask are already black, so these work out perfectly, and then you're just going to go ahead and seal them up and do the exact same thing to the other side as well. Next, we're going to be moving on to painting the prosthetic. Once that is completely dry, I'm going to be starting off by taking my 𝐒𝐥𝐿𝐿 body paint in Bone and going ahead and applying this all over the prosthetic. I'm using a mixture of a fluffy foundation brush and also some smaller detail paint brushes as well, just to make sure we can get into all the cracks and crevices. I'm then going to be taking my Graftobian Pro Paint in Graveyard Gray, and I'm going to be going ahead and using this to add a little bit more dimension to the prosthetic. I'm going to be starting off by applying this to the perimeter of the eye sockets, and then going ahead and lightly stippling this all over the prosthetic. Next, I'm going to be taking my 𝐒𝐥𝐿𝐿 body paint in ink, and I'm going to be going ahead and applying this around the eye socket area to deepen the color, and then I'm also going to be using this to go ahead and start to lightly fill in all of the cracks that he has in his face. So I'm going to be going ahead and filling those in, and then you also want to apply this around the teeth and his gum area as well. I'm then going to be taking my 𝐒𝐥𝐿𝐿 body paint in Oak, and on a stiffer brush, I'm just going to be going ahead and sweeping this over the prosthetic. This is kind of a dry brush technique, so it's mostly going to be going to the areas at the very top of the prosthetic, and it just kind of helps create a nice texture. I'm then going to be using some residue body paint to go ahead and add some more dimension to the very top of the teeth as well. And last but not least, I'm going to be taking some clear polyacrylic to go ahead and apply this all over the prosthetic to use as a sealant. I'm going to go ahead and leave that to dry for a little bit. Before coming back, I'm going to be now going ahead and removing the prosthetic from the life cast. I'm going to be dipping a big brush into some baby powder, and I'm going to be slowly lifting up the edges of the prosthetic, applying some baby powder underneath, and then slowly removing the prosthetic from the life cast while continuously applying baby powder as we go. And that is the completed prosthetic. Now we can move on to applying it to our face. We want to protect our face, so I'm going to be using some Skin Saver lotion and applying this all over my face just to kind of create a nice barrier between my skin and the prosthetic. I'm then going to be taking some petroleum jelly on my fingers and applying this to the baby hairs surrounding my face, just in case some of the spirit gum happens to get in it. And then I'm going to be going ahead and covering my eyebrows. I'm then going to be moving on to the body portion of this makeup, so I'm going to be taking some liquid latex, stippling it on to my shoulder, and then taking some of those cute little foam dowel prosthetic pieces that we had made in the beginning of this video. I'm going to be going ahead and sticking those two pieces to my shoulder, and then taking some cotton and latex to help continue to seal that to my skin. I'm then going to be taking some baby powder and going ahead and setting that liquid latex before moving on to paint. I'm going to be taking my Graftobian body paint in Graveyard Gray, and I'm going to be going ahead and stippling that area with the gray just to kind of give it a base before taking my Made You Look body paint in Oak on a coarse sponge, and I'm going to be going ahead and stippling this all over my chest. We want to make it patchy because this is supposed to look like we are extremely dirty and we just have a lot of texture on our skin. And then we also want to add some darker tones, taking our Made You Look body paint in ink, and I'm going to be applying this all over my body as well. However, I'm also going to be trying to place it strategically in some ways to also work as some shading and contour. He then has a patchy layer of some gray on his chest, so I'm going to then be taking my Graftobian Pro Paint in Graveyard Gray again, using that same sponge and just once again adding another layer of color and stippling this on to my shoulders. He also appears to have some dried blood on his body, so I'm going to be going into my Made You Look body paint in Cherry and stippling this onto my shoulders and then sporadically around my chest and neck as well. To add more contour, I'm going to be going into my Beauty Bay Be Perfect Carnival XL palette, taking Lights Out on a large fluffy brush. I'm going to be going ahead and adding some more contour to my body, so I'm going to be adding this to my neck and my chest to just help accentuate some of my features. I'm then going to be going ahead and applying my bald cap. I'm going to be using the Bad Gone Evil bald cap in the size medium and going ahead and applying this over my head and using some Ben Nye Spirit Gum to go ahead and glue that down. I'm going to be cutting some holes for my ears since the Trapper actually does have his ears exposed, and so I'm just going to be going ahead and gluing all that down before taking the excess part of the bald cap and tying it back in the back of my head. I'm then going to be taking some black colored hairspray and using this to color the back of the bald cap. I just find this to be a lot faster than having to worry about using body paint, and then I'm going to be popping in some black sclera contact lenses. I'm then going to be taking my Made You Look body paint in ink, and I'm going to be stippling this around my eye area and my mouth area where my face is actually going to be exposed from underneath the prosthetic. You don't want to apply this all over your face because that does make it more difficult for the spirit gum to adhere. It is easier to have the spirit gum adhere to your actual skin as opposed to makeup. I'm then going to be setting this by taking my Be Perfect Carnival XL palette, taking Lights Out once again, and I'm going to be pressing this in to the black body paint. This is going to help seal it and make it look more matte and darker. I'm then going to be taking my Buckle Bunny Beauty Black Pearl Eyeliner and going ahead and tightlining my lower waterline, and now we can finally move on to gluing the prosthetic to our face. I'm going to be taking some of my Ben Nye Spirit Gum on a Q-tip and going ahead and applying this to my forehead, bringing it up onto that bald cap and applying it to my nose and under my eyes as well. I'm also applying it to the inside of the prosthetic before going ahead and adhering that to my face once it is tacky. And then with these side pipes that we created with the foam dowels, I'm just going to be pinning that to the back of the bald cap. And last but not least, I'm going to be going into my black body paint and just filling in any areas that are still exposed and need to be turned black. And that is my completed Trapper prosthetic and costume tutorial from Dead by Daylight. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to see next. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos. Also, if you haven't already, please consider supporting me on Patreon. You can support me for as little as $1 a month, and it really does help support me and my channel. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!